Good morning, everyone. There comes a time when the noise of this world grows so loud that you can't even hear your own heartbeat. When the wars outside start to sound like the wars within. When the chaos in your mind echoes louder than the chaos in the streets. And it is in that moment, my brothers and sisters, that heaven whispers one word: peace. Peace is not the absence of storms. Oh no, peace is the calm in the storm. Peace is not when everything lines up right. It's when you line up right on the inside. Peace is not found in a bank account or a position or applause. Peace is found in purpose. You see, the world keeps selling us temporary comfort and calling it peace. They'll tell you, buy this and you'll be at rest. Achieve that and you'll finally be fulfilled. But have you noticed? Every time you reach what they said would satisfy you, you're still hungry for something more. That's because peace is not a product. It's a promise. Somebody say promise. Oh yes, the promise of peace was spoken before the world was ever formed. It was declared over you when you were still in the dark, still in the struggle, still trying to find your way through brokenness and burden. That promise said, you will not be consumed by what you face. That promise said, you will walk through the fire, but you will not be burned. That promise said, be still and know. Because when you discover peace, you discover power. Peace will keep you when trouble tries to break you. Peace will hold you when the world lets you go. Peace will anchor you when the winds of life are howling against your soul. You see, the promise of peace is not passive. It's protective. It guards your heart. It settles your mind. It gives you the strength to stand when everything else is falling. So today I dare you, stop chasing peace like it's running from you. Peace is not hiding. Peace is waiting. Waiting for you to pause, waiting for you to breathe, waiting for you to trust that there's a plan working, even when you don't understand the process. Oh, I feel that for somebody here. You've been through loss. You've been through disappointment. You've been through nights where you cried yourself to sleep. But hear me, peace is not gone. It's just been buried under your fear. Dig it up. Dig it up from under your anxiety. Dig it up from under your guilt. Dig it up from under your past, because the promise still stands. Peace is not something you wait to find at the end of the journey. Peace is what walks with you through the journey. Peace doesn't just show up when life is good. Peace shows up to remind you that even in the darkness, you are not alone. So today, as you walk out of this place, don't let your heart be troubled. Don't let the world steal what heaven has already promised. Lift your head, straighten your shoulders, and walk like you've got peace that passes all understanding. Because when you discover the promise of peace, you don't just survive the storm. You command it to be still. Peace is not the absence of storms. It's the calm within them. Too often, we imagine that peace will come when the noise stops, when the waves settle, when life finally gives us a break. We think peace is the reward for surviving the storm, that it will appear once the chaos clears. But that is not peace. That is silence. Real peace is not born from stillness outside. It is born from stillness within. It is not waiting for your circumstances to change. It is choosing not to be changed by your circumstances. It is the quiet confidence that no matter how hard the wind blows, something unshakable lives inside of you. Storms are inevitable. Every life, no matter how faithful, how careful, how planned, will face them. They come as unexpected diagnoses, broken relationships, financial pressures, rejection, failure, betrayal. They come in waves that knock the breath out of you, leaving you gasping for something to hold on to. But peace is that unseen hand that holds you steady when you cannot see the shore. It doesn't remove the storm. It steadies the sailor. It doesn't stop the lightning. It keeps your heart from being struck. When the world spins out of control, peace whispers, stay centered. When everything seems to be falling apart, peace tells you you are still whole. You see, peace is not found in perfect conditions, but in perfect conviction. It is the belief that even in the middle of the storm, there is meaning. That even when your plans fall apart, purpose remains intact. Peace is not passive resignation. It is powerful assurance. It doesn't say this storm doesn't matter. It says this storm cannot define me. Peace is not pretending that the waves aren't high. It's knowing they can't drown you. It's not ignoring the thunder. It's learning to dance in the rain because you trust the one who commands the clouds. There's something about peace that confuses the enemy, because when everything around you should make you panic and yet you remain calm, that calm becomes your weapon. Peace disarms chaos. It takes back control from fear. The enemy expects you to break, expects you to lose your mind under pressure, expects you to crumble under the weight of it all. But when you stand still, unshaken, when your spirit is at rest, even while the storm rages, it sends a message: I am not ruled by what surrounds me. I am anchored by what sustains me. That's what separates people who crumble under pressure from those who rise above it. It's not that one had fewer storms, it's that one discovered calm in the midst of them. The truth is, peace doesn't remove your humanity, it refines it. It teaches you how to breathe again when everything is heavy. It trains your heart to rest when your mind wants to run. It reminds you that peace is not something you find, it's something you cultivate. You can't buy it, borrow it, or fake it. You grow it in the soil of trust every time you choose faith over fear, surrender over struggle, forgiveness over bitterness. You are planting seeds of peace, and those seeds will grow into something that no storm can uproot. Peace is not fragile because it is not built on circumstances. It is built on character. Circumstances are temporary. Character is eternal. When your peace comes from who you are, not what you have, no storm can take it away. That's why people who look calm in the middle of chaos aren't lucky. They're anchored. They've learned that calm is a decision, not a condition. They've learned that you can be surrounded by trouble and still be untouched by it, because peace is not a place you visit, it's a presence you carry. When peace lives inside you, storms become teachers instead of threats. They teach you patience, endurance, humility, strength. They show you what really matters and what never did. They strip away the illusion of control and leave you with the essence of truth, that you were never meant to live a storm-free life, but a peace-filled one. Peace doesn't say, I will only love life when it's easy. Peace says, even when it's hard, I still have hope. So when the thunder rolls and the winds rise, don't ask for the storm to stop. Ask for your heart to be still, because peace is not what happens when everything gets better. It's what happens when you get stronger. It's not waiting for a new season. It's stepping into the same storm with a new spirit. When you learn that, the storm loses its power. It can shake your circumstances, but it cannot shake your soul. That's when you know you found peace, the kind that does not depend on what's going on around, but on what's going on within you. Peace is not a product, it's a promise. The world has learned how to manufacture comfort, how to produce distractions, how to decorate emptiness with noise and call it peace. But real peace cannot be bought, packaged, or downloaded. It is not the result of perfect planning, financial stability, or social approval. You can sit in the most beautiful house, drive the finest car, wear the sharpest clothes, and still have a restless soul. Because peace is not made by human hands, it is spoken by divine intention. It is not something you earn through control. It is something you receive through trust. The world sells you products, but heaven gives you promises. And there is a difference between what is purchased and what is promised. What is purchased fades. What is promised endures. When peace is treated like a product, people start chasing it as though it's hiding somewhere outside themselves. They travel the world looking for it, change cities, change jobs, change relationships, thinking maybe the next thing will finally quiet their soul. Because once you've discovered peace, you refuse to lose it for anything less than your purpose. There's power in not reacting. There's power in silence. There's power in being misunderstood and choosing not to explain yourself. Peace gives you that power, because when your validation no longer depends on being seen or understood, you rise above the noise of judgment You stop performing for acceptance and start living from authenticity. You become unbothered by what people think and unshaken by what people say. That's not arrogance, that's assurance. That's the strength that peace brings. The power of peace is not in what it changes around you, but in what it changes within you. It stabilizes your emotions, strengthens your decisions, and shapes your perspective. You become less reactive and more reflective. You begin to realize that not every fight requires your fists. Some require your faith. Not every battle needs your voice. Some need your vision. Peace helps you see the long game, to step back and recognize that patience can accomplish what panic never could. When you discover peace, you tap into a source that never runs dry. You stop depending on the world for refills because the supply comes from within. You stop chasing moments of calm because you carry calm wherever you go. And when people encounter you, they feel it too. Peace is contagious. It transfers through presence. It changes the temperature of every room you walk into. You become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You don't reflect the atmosphere. You regulate it. That's power. Peace does not make you weak, it makes you wise. It teaches you that anger wastes energy, fear clouds judgment, and rushing ruins blessings. Peace slows you down just enough to let wisdom catch up. It whispers before you speak, steadies you before you act, reminds you that real strength is not in how loud you can roar, but in how deeply you can rest. Because power without peace is unstable, but power born from peace is unbreakable. When peace fills your heart, confidence becomes quiet but unshakable. You stop seeking control and start radiating trust. You stop striving to prove and start standing in what's already promised. The storms may not stop, but their sound no longer scares you. You realize that peace is not the absence of opposition. It's the presence of divine authority within you. And once you carry that kind of authority, nothing external can take away your internal strength. Because when you discover peace, you discover the purest, deepest, and most unstoppable form of power this life can ever hold. Peace is not passive, it's protective. Many people think peace is a soft thing, a quiet surrender, a calm that comes from avoiding conflict or pretending everything is fine. They see peace as silence, as stillness without strength. But true peace is not the absence of fight. It's the presence of fortitude. Peace is not what happens when you stop confronting chaos. It's what happens when chaos can no longer control you. It is not weakness wearing a smile. It is strength cloaked in serenity. Real peace does not retreat from battle. It guards you while you walk through it. Peace is a shield that protects you from being consumed by the noise of the world. It stands between your heart and your hurt, between your mind and your madness. It doesn't stop the arrows from flying. It stops them from piercing your spirit. Peace doesn't erase the tension. It absorbs it. It doesn't eliminate the problem. It gives you power over how the problem affects you. That's why peace is not passive. It's not for those who run away from storms, but for those who can stand in the storm and not let it enter their soul. There is a misconception that peaceful people are indifferent, detached, or docile. But peace is not indifference. It's intelligence. It's knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. It's refusing to let anger dictate your words or fear dictate your decisions. It's the discipline of control when everything around you is trying to provoke you. Peace does not mean you don't feel pain. It means pain doesn't own you. It means you can be disappointed without becoming bitter, challenged without becoming chaotic. That's not passive. That's powerful. Peace protects your mind from invasion. It guards your thoughts like a soldier guarding a fortress. It keeps anxiety from taking residence where faith should live. It keeps confusion from sitting in the seat meant for clarity. When peace rules your heart, it becomes the filter through which you interpret the world. You stop reacting to every trigger because you've built boundaries around your inner life. You stop letting every rumor, every rejection, every disappointment take root. Peace builds a wall that keeps you from losing yourself in the noise of everything else. Peace is not passive. because it requires practice. It takes effort to stay calm. In a culture that glorifies chaos, it takes strength to choose silence when provoked, to remain steady when everything shakes. It takes courage to walk away from arguments that don't deserve your voice. It takes power to stay gentle when the world rewards aggression. Every time you choose peace, you are fighting a battle inside yourself, against pride, against ego, against the urge to control what cannot be controlled. That battle is not easy, but it is necessary, because the moment you lose peace, you lose perspective. That's what makes peace powerful. It is not fragile. It is fierce. It does not flee in the face of trouble. It flourishes there. Think about it. The calmest place in a hurricane is the eye. Everything around it is spinning violently, but the center is still. That's what true peace feels like. Life may be swirling. People may be shouting. Problems may be rising like waves. But in your core, there's a quiet place untouched by chaos. That calm is not denial. It's dominion. It's the understanding that no storm lasts forever, but your spirit was built to endure. It's realizing that the same wind that threatens to destroy you can actually drive you closer to your destination if you learn to let it carry you. Peace comes when you stop trying to control what's beyond your reach and start governing what's within your power. You can't stop the rain, but you can refuse to drown in your own fear. You can't silence every voice of criticism, but you can choose which voice you listen to. You can't stop the storm, but you can still the storm inside. But no matter where they go, the noise follows them. Because peace is not found in a new location. It is found in a renewed heart. It doesn't come through transaction. It comes through transformation. You don't acquire peace by achieving more. You access it by believing more. A product is created by effort, but a promise is fulfilled by faith. And that's why peace can't be earned. It must be embraced. Peace is a covenant, not a commodity. It doesn't have a price tag. It has a purpose. It doesn't expire with time. It expands with trust. A product depends on supply and demand, but a promise depends on the word and character of the one who gave it. So when you begin to understand that peace is a promise, you stop begging for it like it's scarce and start walking in it like it's sure. The promise of peace is not fragile because it is not rooted in your performance. You don't have to be perfect to have peace. You can be in the middle of a mess and still carry serenity in your soul. Peace doesn't wait until the pain is gone. It lives with you in the pain and whispers, you're going to make it. It is not a feeling that fluctuates with your emotions. It's a foundation that holds steady under your feet. It is not a mood, it's a mindset. When you live from promise instead of pressure, you stop reacting to every storm, every rumor, every change. You become still inside because you know what's spoken over. You cannot be undone by what's happening around you. When peace is treated like a product, people become consumers of temporary relief. They drown anxiety in entertainment, numb their fears with indulgence, hide their emptiness behind success. But once the distraction fades, the emptiness returns because nothing external can fix what is internal. You can medicate the symptoms, but only the promise heals the source. The promise of peace does not promise a painless life. It promises a purposeful one. It promises that whatever life throws at you cannot destroy what's been deposited in you. A promise has power because it is tied to something eternal. It comes from a place beyond circumstance, beyond failure, beyond human limitation. That's why peace that comes from a promise is unshakable. It doesn't vanish when trouble appears. It doesn't shrink when fear knocks at the door. It doesn't depend on applause, validation, or recognition. The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. When you carry a promise, you walk differently. You endure differently. You rest differently. You don't let the temporary shake your trust in the eternal. Peace is not the absence of tension, but the assurance that tension cannot tear you apart. It is not pretending everything is fine. It's knowing that even if everything is not fine, you will be, when peace is your promise, chaos becomes your classroom. Every challenge becomes a chance to remember what you already have. You stop asking, when will this be over? And start asking, what am I supposed to learn through this? Because when peace is a promise, every storm has a purpose and every trial has a teacher. The world will always try to make peace feel conditional. It will tell you you'll be at peace when you finally succeed, when you finally belong, when you finally have enough. But that's an illusion. Peace is not the destination after the journey. It's the presence that carries you through it. It doesn't come at the end of your striving. It arrives the moment you stop striving. You can't manufacture it through effort. You manifest it through surrender. Because peace is not man-made, it's God-given. The promise of peace is not fragile. It is unbreakable. It doesn't expire when life gets hard. It doesn't disappear when people disappoint you. It stays steady when everything else shakes. The promise reminds you that even in uncertainty, there is still order. Even in pain, there is still purpose. Even in loss, there is still love. The promise of peace is not an invitation to avoid life's storms, but a declaration that you can stand in the middle of them and still have calm in your spirit. Peace as a product will always depend on external perfection, but peace as a promise depends on internal conviction. That's why some people with everything are still restless, while others with almost nothing are content. The difference is not possession, it's perception. One is chasing what the world manufactures. The other is walking in what heaven has spoken. When you live from promise, you stop performing for peace. You start producing it from within. The promise of peace is a seed planted deep within the human soul. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't rush, it rests. It doesn't compete, it completes. It grows in silence, blossoms in surrender, and bears fruit in patience. You can't force it, but you can feed it. You feed it with gratitude. When life feels heavy, you feed it with forgiveness. When your heart feels bitter, you feed it with stillness. When the world feels loud. And the more you nurture that promise, the more peace becomes not just something you feel, but something you embody. A promise is powerful because it connects the unseen to the seen. It reminds you that what you feel now is not the full picture. That's why peace is not naive optimism. It's anchored hope. It's knowing that storms may come, but they cannot cancel what's been declared over your life. It's realizing that the same promise that brought you through before will bring you through again. The world might offer a product that soothes for a moment, but the promise sustains for a lifetime. The product fades when the feeling fades, but the promise remains when feelings fail. That's why real peace doesn't have to prove itself. It doesn't need validation from circumstance. It doesn't need evidence to exist. It is the quiet conviction that you are held, guided, and guarded, even when you don't understand the process. Peace doesn't depend on what you can see. It depends on what you believe. When peace is understood as a promise, you no longer wait for the perfect day to rest. You learn to rest in the middle of imperfection. You learn to breathe in brokenness. You learn to smile even when life hasn't given you every reason to, because you realize the promise is already fulfilled within you. You simply need to awaken to it. Peace is not coming someday. It's here, now, living, breathing, waiting for you to receive it as the sacred promise it has always been. When you discover peace, you discover power. There is a strength that hides behind stillness. A force that reveals itself only when your heart learns to be quiet in the storm. The world has taught us to equate power with noise, with motion, with dominance. We think power is found in how loud we can speak, how much we can control, how far we can climb. But real power is not in the shout. It's in the silence that refuses to be shaken. It is in the soul that stands firm when everything else trembles. It is in the person who can say, I may not have control over the situation, but the situation does not have control over me. That is the kind of power peace brings. When peace enters your life, it does not come to make you passive. It comes to make you poised. It doesn't take away your fight. It gives you focus. It sharpens your spirit, steadies your emotions, and strengthens your will. Peace gives you the power to choose your response instead of reacting to every circumstance. It gives you power over your tongue when anger wants to speak, power over your mind when anxiety wants to race, power over your emotions when fear wants to take over. That is not weakness, that is mastery. That is authority, that is divine control. You see, chaos thrives on reaction. It feeds on your panic. It grows stronger when you let fear dictate your decisions. But peace cuts off its supply. When you refuse to let chaos live rent-free in your spirit, you starve it. When you remain calm in confusion, the confusion loses its grip. That's the paradox of peace. It looks gentle, but it is fierce. It appears soft, but it carries the weight of unshakable strength. The calmest people are not those who have seen the least, but those who have endured the most and still choose not to break. There is a power that comes when you stop fighting what you cannot control, when you stop wrestling with every wave and learn to float. You find out the water that once terrified you can actually carry you. Peace teaches you that surrender is not defeat, it's discernment. It's knowing which battles are worth your energy and which ones are not. It's knowing that sometimes the greatest show of strength is not striking back, but standing still. That kind of peace turns survival into strategy. It transforms panic into purpose. It takes what was meant to destroy you and uses it to define you. When you discover peace, you begin to walk differently. Your steps get slower, steadier, wiser. You don't rush to prove yourself anymore. You don't chase validation from people who can't give it. You don't let your joy be dictated by who stays or who leaves. You start realizing that power is not found in controlling others. It's found in mastering yourself. And when you master yourself, you become unstoppable because storms may hit, but they can't move what's rooted. Peace gives you perspective. It allows you to see beyond the problem into the purpose. It teaches you to look past what is happening to what is shaping you. Power without peace becomes reckless, but peace with power becomes revelation. When your peace matures, your reactions mature. You stop trying to prove your worth through words or wins. You stop panicking every time something threatens your plan. You start recognizing that there's something bigger at work, something guiding, something guarding, something governing, even what you don't understand. Peace is power because it frees your mind. Anxiety changes your creativity. Fear blocks your vision. Worry drains your energy. But when peace steps in, creativity flows, wisdom awakens, and strength returns. You start hearing what the noise used to drown out. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to think clearly, act wisely, and move purposefully. That's what happens when peace takes its rightful seat in your heart. It makes space for power to do its work. There is a quiet confidence that comes with true peace. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't demand attention. It simply exists, strong, steady, sure. You can walk into a room full of chaos and still carry calm like armor. You can face opposition and still maintain composure. That is power, because anyone can be strong when things are easy. But it takes divine power to be peaceful when everything around you is falling apart. It takes courage to stay gentle in a harsh world, to stay hopeful in a broken one. Peace gives you that courage. When you discover peace, you stop wasting energy fighting what peace has already conquered. You don't have to fight for validation because you already know who you are. You don't have to fight for acceptance because you've already been chosen. You don't have to fight for control because you trust that there's a plan greater than your understanding. That trust gives you freedom. And freedom is the birthplace of power. Power to live, to create, to dream again, to move forward without fear of failure. Peace gives you power because it aligns you with purpose. It removes distraction and reveals direction. When your heart is calm, you can hear the quiet instructions that chaos used to drown out. You begin to discern what's truly important, what deserves your time and what doesn't. Peace doesn't make you lazy. It makes you laser focused. It teaches you to protect your energy, to guard your thoughts, to choose battles that matter. Peace protects your purpose. It keeps you focused on where you're going when distractions try to pull you off course. When you let anger or fear drive you, you lose direction. But when peace is your driver, you move with intention. You no longer respond out of impulse. You respond out of insight. Peace gives you the patience to wait, the clarity to see, and the courage to continue. It protects your destiny from being derailed by temporary emotions. It reminds you that every reaction has a cost, and some battles are too expensive to fight. Peace also protects your relationships. It teaches you to listen more and speak less, to understand before you argue, to respond with wisdom instead of wrath. It helps you preserve love in places where conflict could have burned everything down. When peace rules your heart, forgiveness becomes easier, grace becomes natural, and compassion becomes your first instinct. Peace doesn't make you weak in relationships. It makes you wise enough to know that connection matters more than being right. It's what allows you to keep your peace even when people don't keep theirs. When peace is active in your life, it becomes a weapon. It disarms hostility, diffuses tension, and destabilizes the plans of anything trying to shake your spirit. Peace confuses your enemies because they expect you to react, to explode, to lose control. But when you stay calm, they lose their power over you. Your peace becomes your defense. Your silence becomes your strength. Your stillness becomes your statement. You don't have to match the energy of chaos when you carry the authority of calm. That's what makes peace protective. It doesn't fight back with force. It overcomes with composure. Peace is a strategy, not a symptom. It doesn't show up when everything is calm. It's what creates calm. It sets the tone of your inner world before your outer world has a chance to dictate it. Peace is the thermostat of your soul. It regulates your spiritual temperature. It doesn't wait for life to cool down. It cools life down itself. When your heart is governed by peace, you can walk into heated situations and lower the temperature just by being present. You become the calm in the room, the balance in the tension, the stillness in the storm. That's not passive energy. That's divine authority. Peace is not passive because it demands choice. You must choose it every day, sometimes every moment. You must choose it over retaliation, over fear, over worry, over pride. You must protect it like the treasure it is, because the world will always try to steal it. Distractions will try to drain it. People will try to disturb it. Life will try to shake it. But when you have learned to value peace more than being right, more than winning, more than proving your point, you start living from a different level of strength. Peace protects your heart from becoming hard. Life has a way of wounding even the strongest souls. Disappointment, betrayal, loss, each one can build walls around your heart. But peace keeps your heart soft enough to love again, to believe again, to try again. It doesn't let bitterness grow where beauty should bloom. It doesn't let anger fester where healing should happen. Peace doesn't deny pain. Keeps pain from defining you. It stands guard over your spirit, ensuring that what hurt you doesn't turn you into someone you're not. Peace also protects your time. It teaches you that not every invitation deserves a please reply. Not every argument deserves an answer. Not every crisis requires your presence. When you walk in peace, you learn to say no without guilt and yes without fear. You learn to separate urgency from importance. You learn to protect your energy from being wasted on what doesn't grow you. Peace is a form of discernment. It knows when to engage and when to retreat, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to act and when to rest. There's a quiet strength in people who live with peace. You can feel it before they speak. They carry an atmosphere that calms others. They have a confidence that isn't loud but undeniable. Their presence feels safe because their spirit is settled. They don't have to prove their power. It's evident in their peace. And that peace isn't passive. It's armor. It's what protects them from becoming hardened by life's battles or distracted by life noise. Peace is not passive. It's proactive. It doesn't wait for protection. It becomes protection. It steps into the middle of chaos and says, you can't have me. It builds invisible walls around your soul and lets nothing unworthy climb over. It teaches you to guard your heart without closing it, to protect your peace without isolating yourself. It is both shield and sword, both refuge and resistance. Peace does not hide from conflict. It stands firm within it. It does not run from struggle. It brings strength into it. Peace does not mean you have nothing to fight. It means you have already won the battle inside yourself before the first punch is ever thrown. Peace walks with you through the journey, not just at the end of it. Too many people treat peace like a destination, something waiting for them on the other side of achievement, after success, after the struggle, after everything finally makes sense. They say to themselves, when this season is over, I'll have peace. When this problem is solved, I'll rest. When I get there, then I'll be okay. But peace was never meant to wait for the end. Peace was meant to walk beside you in every step. It's not the prize for finishing. It's the companion that helps you finish. Peace is what holds your hand through the uncertainty, steadies your heart through the climb, and reminds you that even if the road is rough, you are still moving in purpose. Peace is the voice that whispers you're not alone when the journey feels too long. It doesn't show up only when everything is perfect. It shows up in the imperfect moments, in the struggle, in the questions that don't have answers. Peace is the quiet friend that never leaves. Even when joy feels distant and strength feels small, it doesn't demand clarity. It creates calm in the middle of confusion. It doesn't wait for the storm to end. It walks with you beneath the rain. That's why peace is not an ending emotion, but an enduring presence. It doesn't depend on where you are. It depends on who you are becoming. Every journey has valleys and mountaintops, seasons of light and seasons of shadow. There are moments where you feel unstoppable and others where you wonder if you'll ever rise again. But peace is what bridges the gap between both. It walks with you when you celebrate and when you grieve, when you know the way and when you're lost in the wilderness. Peace doesn't hurry you. It guides you. It doesn't push you faster. It walks at the pace of trust. It reminds you that progress doesn't always mean movement. Sometimes it means stillness. Sometimes it means waiting. Sometimes it means resting long enough to hear the next instruction. The world teaches that peace is conditional, that it belongs only to those who have finished the race. But real peace is found in those who are still running. It lives in the middle of effort, in the tension between who you were and who you're becoming. Peace is not a medal. It's momentum. It's the fuel that keeps you going when motivation fades. It's what allows you to smile in seasons of struggle because you know every step, even the painful ones, is part of something greater. Peace doesn't need the full picture. It trusts the process. It's not waiting for the last chapter. It's writing the story with you in every line. Peace walks with you when the road gets lonely, when people leave, when plans fall apart, when doors close you thought would open. Peace stays. It sits beside you in the silence, reminding you that your value isn't tied to who stayed, to the strength that still stands within you. It doesn't promise you a journey without loss. It promises you'll never lose yourself in the journey. Peace doesn't always change the path, but it changes the traveler. It gives you endurance when you want to give up, clarity when your mind is clouded, and courage when fear tries to paralyze you. Peace walks with you through pain, not to remove it, but to redeem it. It takes your tears and turns them into testimony. It turns your confusion into clarity, your waiting into wisdom. Peace doesn't need you to understand everything. It just asks you to keep walking, because even when you don't know the destination, peace knows the way. It's the quiet assurance that you're being led even when you can't see the path. It's the comfort that tells you you may not know how, but you will make it. Peace doesn't erase the valley. It makes the valley bearable. It gives you songs in the night, light in the darkness, hope in the hollow places of your journey. When peace walks with you, the weight of the journey becomes lighter. You stop rushing to arrive and start learning to abide. You stop measuring success by how far you've gone and start valuing how much you've grown. Peace slows you down enough to appreciate the scenery, the lessons, the people who walk beside you for a season. It teaches you that the journey is not about reaching the destination faster. It's about becoming more whole along the way. Peace doesn't wait at the finish line holding a trophy. It runs every mile beside you, reminding you that you are already winning every time you choose faith over fear, gratitude over grumbling, and trust over tension. Peace walks with you through seasons of waiting. The in-betweens where most people lose heart, where they feel forgotten, overlooked, or stuck. But peace whispers that waiting is not wasting. It tells you that delays are not denials, that patience is not punishment. Peace helps you rest while you wait so you don't break while you wait. It gives you the grace to breathe between battles, to find purpose even when the promise hasn't fully appeared. When you walk with peace, the waiting becomes sacred ground. It's where you grow roots before you rise. Peace also walks with you through success. Because even in victory, there are new pressures, new expectations, new responsibilities. Many people think the struggle is only in the climb, but peace is just as needed at the summit. It keeps your heart humble when others praise you, grounded when the world celebrates you. Peace protects you from pride and reminds you that every triumph still belongs to something greater than yourself. It teaches you to hold blessings with open hands, to enjoy success without letting it possess you. Peace keeps your spirit steady when life's pace quickens, when opportunities multiply, when noise increases. It reminds you that achievement without alignment will always feel empty. Peace walks with you through change. Life moves in seasons. People change, dreams shift, doors close and open again. Transitions can be uncomfortable, but peace makes them meaningful. It keeps you centered when everything around you evolves. It gives you confidence to release what no longer serves you and courage to step into what's next. Peace teaches you that endings are not failures. They are invitations to new beginnings. It reminds you that the same presence that walked with you through the last chapter will walk with you through the next. Peace walks with you through failure. It doesn't condemn you when you fall. It lifts you when you can't lift yourself. It reminds you that failure is not final, that mistakes don't define your destiny. Peace sits with you in the aftermath and whispers lessons where shame used to speak lies. It transforms regret into reflection and disappointment into direction. Peace gives you the power to rise again, not in haste, but in healing. It keeps you from turning temporary setbacks into permanent defeat. When peace walks with you, fear loses its grip. You begin to see that you were never walking alone. Every step, every stumble, every success has been accompanied by a presence greater than your pain. Peace gives you rhythm when life feels out of sync. It helps you breathe through the unknown and move through the unexpected. It doesn't promise a straight path. It promises a sure one. It reminds you that you don't have to have it all figured out to keep moving forward. Peace walks with you through every moment. The joyful, the painful, the uncertain, the triumphant. It is not waiting at the finish line, waving you forward from afar. It is right beside you, whispering strength into your soul. It walks at your pace, slows when you're weary, strengthens you when you stumble, and reminds you that every step matters. Peace does not appear at the end of the journey. It has been with you all along, guiding, guarding, and growing you into who you were always meant to be.